The night I buried my mother. My husband's tablet lit up beside our bed with a message from his 24-year-old intern. I can't stop thinking about last night. Same hotel. Tomorrow? I stood in the dark bedroom wearing the black dress from the memorial service, still carrying the scent of church candles and lilies. Tyler had told me he was staying late to comfort a nervous client, but the screen showed a photograph of him smiling in a Beverly Hills hotel room with Rachel Peterson curled against his bare chest. My grief went strangely quiet. For 3 months, I had watched my mother weaken from cancer. I had slept in hospital chairs, argued with insurance companies, and held her hand when she took her final breath. During those same months, Tyler had booked luxury suites, ordered champagne on his corporate card, and told me his late nights were necessary for our future. I unlocked the tablet with the code we had shared for years. The messages began 6 months earlier. Tyler called Rachel talented, misunderstood, and too intelligent for an internship. She called him Ty Bear and joked that I was probably too distracted by my mother to notice anything. There were photographs, hotel confirmations, restaurant receipts, and promises that Rachel would soon have a permanent position. One message had been sent while I sat alone at a fertility clinic waiting for the results of our third failed round of IVF. Wish you were here instead of dealing with all that baby drama, Rachel had written. So do I, Tyler replied. 14 years together, 6 years married, hundreds of injections, surgeries, and whispered promises that we were still a family even without a child. Apparently, I had been the only one making those promises honestly. I did not wake him when he returned after midnight. I did not confront him, break dishes, or demand to know why. My mother had taught me that anger could warn an enemy before you were ready. I sat in my home office until dawn and created a folder labeled TRUT. Every message went into it. Every photograph received a date. Every hotel reservation was matched to a calendar entry where Tyler had claimed to be meeting clients. By sunrise, I had discovered that several rooms were charged to Lennox and Rudd, the consulting firm where Tyler served as senior vice president. Dinners with Rachel had been submitted as investor meetings. Spa treatments were listed as executive hospitality. The affair was no longer only a betrayal of our marriage. Tyler had used company money and his position over an intern to finance it. At 8, he came downstairs wearing the navy suit I had given him for our anniversary. He kissed my forehead while pouring coffee. "You're okay?" he asked. "My mother died yesterday." "I know," he checked his phone. "I meant, are you going to be okay alone today? I have back-to-back meetings." Of course, his shoulders relaxed. My calmness reassured him because he had mistaken it for weakness throughout our marriage. Before leaving, he adjusted his tie in the hallway mirror. "Rachel may call about a campaign file. She's still learning boundaries, so don't take it personally if she sounds nervous." "I won't," he smiled, relieved that the obedient wife remained intact. The moment his car left the driveway, I called Joanna Reeves. Joanna and I had attended UCLA Law together. While I entered corporate legal work, she became a private investigator specializing in financial misconduct. We met that afternoon at a cafe in Pacific Palisades. She reviewed the screenshots without interrupting. When she finished, she closed the folder. "You already have enough for a divorce. I want to know how deep it goes. You want to expose them? I want the truth protected before he can bury it." 4 days later, Joanna returned with a file twice as thick. The hotel charges were only the beginning. Tyler had used the company Lexus for at least 8 private trips with Rachel. He had approved a consulting contract that paid her through a shell company, though she performed no consulting work. The shell company was partly owned by Tyler and the firm's chief financial officer, Kyle Brennan. Kyle Brennan was a married man with 3 daughters and a loud public reputation for ruthless corporate ethics. The fact that he was helping my husband siphon funds through a fake consulting firm gave me the ultimate leverage. I didn't rush. For 3 weeks, I played the grieving, distracted widow to my mother. I let Tyler believe I was spending my days sorting through her estate, boxing up old china, and crying over photo albums. In reality, Joanna and I were meticulously tracing every stolen dollar. every forged signature, and every encrypted email between Tyler and Kyle. Tyler grew increasingly careless. He started taking emergency work calls during dinner, walking out to the patio to whisper to Rachel. He complained about the stress of a major upcoming merger at Lennox and Rudd, telling me that Arthur Lennox, the CEO, was relying heavily on him and Kyle to get the financials across the finish line. If this goes well, Tyler told me one evening, pouring himself a scotch, Arthur might name me executive vice president by the end of the quarter. It means a lot of late nights, honey, but it's for us. I understand, I replied, sipping my tea. You should do whatever it takes. The climax of the merger was a high-stakes board meeting on a Tuesday morning, where Tyler and Kyle were scheduled to present the final financial health report to Arthur Lennox, and the board of directors. Rachel, ever the aspiring executive, was tasked with running the presentation slides. At 8:30 a.m., while Tyler was settling into the mahogany boardroom, I walked into the lobby of Lennox and Rudd, the receptionist, recognized me immediately as Tyler's quiet, supportive wife and swiped me through the security gates. I rode the elevator up to the executive suite, carrying a leather briefcase containing 4 bound copies of Joanna's financial forensic audit complete with bank records, tax filings, and high-resolution photographs. I walked straight into the main boardroom. Just as Tyler cleared his throat at the head of the long marble table, Arthur Lennox sat at the center, flanked by 6 prominent board members. Kyle Brennan was frantically taking notes, and Rachel stood by the presentation screen, remote in hand. "Claire?" Tyler gasped, his face draining of color as the heavy doors closed behind me. "What are you doing here? Is something wrong?" "Nothing is wrong, Tyler," I said, my voice calm and ringing clearly across the room. "In fact, everything is finally coming to light." Ignoring Tyler's panicked step toward me, I walked straight to Arthur Lennox and laid the bound dossiers on the table in front of him. "Mr. Lennox, before you approve this merger, you need to review the unauthorized shell company co-owned by your CFO and senior vice president, through which over $2 million of corporate funds have been embezzled over the last year." Arthur's brow furrowed. He opened the top folder. The first page showed the legal formation of the shell company, followed immediately by itemized corporate card expenditures detailing Tyler and Rachel's luxury hotel stays, high-end dinners, and fraudulent consulting payouts. "What is the meaning of this?" Arthur demanded, his voice dropping into a dangerous thunder as his eyes scanned the evidence. Kyle slammed his pen down, stammering excuses, while Rachel dropped the slide remote onto the carpet with a loud clatter. Tyler lunged forward, trying to grab the folders. "Arthur, please. She's unhinged. She's grieving her mother. She doesn't know what she's talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about," I replied smoothly. "And so does the district attorney's financial crimes unit, who received a duplicate set of these files 30 minutes ago." Before Tyler could respond, corporate security entered the room at Arthur's sharp command, followed by 2 LAPD officers who had been waiting in the lobby. Within minutes, Tyler and Kyle were led out of the building in handcuffs to face charges of grand larceny, embezzlement, and corporate fraud. Rachel was fired on the spot and escorted out by security, her tears falling unnoticed on the floor. As Tyler was dragged past me, pale and trembling, I slid a sealed white envelope into his suit jacket pocket, the final, irrecoverable divorce papers drafted by my legal counsel, alongside an emergency court order freezing all our joint accounts. "You thought I was weak because I was quiet," I whispered as he passed. "My mother taught me better than that." Stepping out of the building into the bright morning sunlight, the air felt clearer than it had in months. For the first time since my mother's passing, I felt her presence beside me, not in grief, but in quiet, unshakable triumph.